Okay guys, we're going to be doing the quadratic formula. We're going to make a foldable this time instead of Cornell notes. So it's going to end up folding like this. And the examples are going to be in the inside. So first let's talk about what a quadratic formula is. A quadratic formula is another method or way, okay, to solve quadratic equations. Quadratics are what we were doing with the x squareds. They have to be in standard form. Remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. We want everything to be on the left side of the equal sign. If it's on the left side of the equal sign, then we can use your calculator and use the quadratic formula. You need to have all three of these. And if we don't have all three, then we put a 0 in for that spot. So let's look at our first example. It says 2x squared plus 7x minus 9. So the 2 is our a, the 7 is our b value, and the negative 9 is our c value. So we're going to take these guys and we're going to plug it into this equation here, and anywhere we see an a, we're going to put a 2. Anywhere we see a b, we're going to put a 7, and anywhere we see a c, we're going to put a negative 9. So what I do is I make what I call a skeleton. And I leave the blanks where the letters are. And I kind of put parentheses so I don't forget that a letter or a number has to go there. And I'm going to fill them in. So my B's are pink, so anywhere I have a B, I'm going to put that number. Anywhere I have an A, I'm going to put that one. And anywhere I have the C, I'm going to put this guy. So I'm going to plug in my numbers. So B is 7, so 7s are going to go in my pink. The 2s are my yellows, so they're going to go here. And my negative 9 is going to go there. Okay, let's simplify it now. So negative 7 is just simply going to be negative 7. It's not going to change. But this stuff underneath here, we want to put it in the calculator and we want to simplify it. So we're going to put parenthesis 7 squared minus 4 parenthesis 2 parenthesis minus 9, because it's going to simplify under the square root, and that's going to give me 121. So I'm going to have a plus or minus the square root of 121. On the bottom, I have 2 times 2, which is 4. Now notice 121 is a perfect number. If you can't remember that, you can always check in your calculator and see that it's a perfect number. The square root of 121 is 11, so I'm going to simplify that just a step further. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus 11 over 4. Well, since this is simple, we've got to go a step further and break it down, because that says plus or minus. So I've got to find out what my answer would be if it was a plus 11, and I've got to find out what my answer will be if it's a negative 11. So if I put x equals negative 7 plus 11 over 4, and then what if I put x equals negative 7 minus 11 over 4? Again, this can just go in your calculator. So make your fraction button. Negative 7 minus 11 is on top, and 4 is on bottom. Negative 9 over 2 is your first answer. So your first x value is negative 9 over 2. That's also your 0, your solution, your root, your x-intercept. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to make my fraction, negative 7 minus 11, 4 on the bottom. Oh, I did negative twice. So this one is actually my negative version. Let me change that to a positive, and 1. That's my other root, my x-intercept, my solution, or my 0. So when I put a positive in, I got a 1, and when I put a negative in, I got a negative 9 over 2. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the next example. Okay, all of this needs to be on one side. So this 1 is on the wrong side. I've got to move it over here, and it goes to the end because remember, ax squared plus bx plus c is the order it needs to be in. You want your x value, your x squared value, to be positive. That is why we're moving the 1. So you're going to have 3n squared minus 5n plus 1. Your a value is 3. Your b value is negative 5. And your c value is positive 1. Because we moved the 1 over, it became a positive. Okay, let's make our skeleton. Negative something plus or minus the square root squared minus 4 and 2. Okay, again, my a values are right here, so this is an a and this is an a. That's where my 3's are going to go. My negative 5's are my b. This is a b and this is a b. And this is a c value here. So my yellows are my 3's. My b is negative 5's. And my c is a 1. So again, we're going to put this in our calculator and we're going to simplify it. So what happens when we have minus and negative 5? Minus a negative becomes a positive 5. So on top here, I'm going to have a positive 5 now. Plus or minus, let's put this guy in my calculator because we want as simple as possible. So parenthesis, negative 5, parenthesis squared, minus 4, parenthesis 3, parenthesis 1, 13. So we're going to get the square root of 13. That is not a perfect number. You could check, but it is not a perfect number. It gives you 3.6. So we're going to have to leave him like this for now. We can't simplify him anymore, so he stays. And then 2 times 3 is 6. Just like on the last one, we've got to split it apart because we've got a positive square root of 13 and a negative square root of 13. So let's do the positive first. 5 plus square root of 13 over 6. This can't go anymore because we just talked about how the square root of 13 has no other factors. If you're not sure, remember, go back, menu, number, factor, 13. It does not go any smaller. It's single. It doesn't have a partner. It can't go outside of the party. So it's going to stay a 13. We're going to do the same thing on the negative. X equals 5 minus square root of 13 over 6. These are your zeros, your roots, your solutions. All right, let's go on to the next one. So now we've got 2 things on the wrong side, both of these. So both have to move to the other side. Remember, when you move from one side to the other, it's like changing your address. You change when you move, you change these. So these were both positive before. They now become negative 7m and negative 2. Remember, the letters don't matter, guys. I can use an M or N like the last one or X. They all still mean the same thing. All right, let's make our skeleton. All right, let's identify our A. Our A is a 4. So our A is also here and here. So 4s are going to go there. Our B is -7. So it's going to go here and here. And our C is -2. So it's going to go there. 4s here and here, -7s, and -2. Again, we've got to simplify. So we're going to do the same thing and we're going to simplify. Minus a -7. Minus a -7 is a +7. Let's do our square root portion. Inside, just like it looks, parenthesis, -7 squared -4, parenthesis, 4, and then a -2. It is a +81. So it's plus or minus 81. And on the bottom, 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay, is the square root of 81 perfect? Yes. Check it in your calculator. The square root of 81 is 9. So we're going to change this one to a 9. And when we change it, we're also going to add or subtract it. So we're going to get 7 plus 9, because we have to change this to a 9, over 8. That's my first x value. Let's make our fraction. 7 plus 9 over 8 is 2. So x equals 2. That is my first 0. Let's do the same thing with the negative, because we've got to do the positive and the negative. So 7 minus 9 over 8. Let's see what that equals. Same thing, make your fraction. 7 minus 9, 8 on the bottom. It is -1/4. That is my other 0 root or solution. Give you a second to catch up. All right, last one. When we're solving, again, the W is on the wrong side. He's got to go over here. But so is the 6. And he has to go with the 4 because they are like terms. So I'm going to have 5W squared minus W, because remember, I move him, I change my address, I change the sign. And then 4 minus 6 is a -2. If you're not sure, use your calculator. 4 minus 6, -2. All right, let's make our skeleton and let's fill it in. Minus, plus or minus. Two on the bottom. Okay, our A is 5. So A and A. Our B, what is our B? It just says a negative. What do we assume is always there, even if we don't put a number? If there's a letter. If there's nothing there, it's 0. But if there's a letter there, we always assume it's a 1. So this is a -1. Our B is -1. And then our C is a -2. Let's fill in our skeleton. Okay, minus a -1. 2 negatives give me a positive, so x equals 1. Plus or minus the square root. We're going to put this guy in our calculator. Parenthesis, -1 squared minus 4, parenthesis, 5, -2. It is 41. I'm going to go ahead and check and make sure. I don't think it's perfect, but I'm going to check the square root of 41. It is not perfect. Let's also menu 2, 3, see if it factors. It does not factor. So it can't break apart. It stays in the house. It doesn't have a partner. So 41 is going to go inside the house. 2 times 5 is 10. Alrighty, just like the last three, we got to do a positive and we got to do a negative. That's how we get two answers. So the first one is x equals 1 plus the square root of 41 over 10. We already said that this doesn't simplify, so we know it can't go any smaller. Okay, now I'm going to do the negative. X equals 1 minus the square root of 41 over 10. Because it doesn't simplify anymore. And that is your answers. So guys, all you're doing is plugging in for A. That's your x squared value. Make sure you only have one x squared. Then you're plugging in your B, which is your x value. And the letter doesn't matter. It can be a Q. And then you're plugging in your C, simplifying it. Okay, that is how you use the quadratic formula. Now go ahead and go on in your packet. If you have any questions, raise your hand.